ये घुमा देना ना, रोटेट कर देना इस टाइम पे. Hello everyone, welcome to PLUTUS IAS. This side is Sonali Jindal. Daily we take up the daily news analysis of the Hindu newspaper, and today we will take up the 30th August 2024 news. And in the first initial 1 minute, we used to see which of the topics will be covered in the particular video so that you can decide which of the topics you want to refer. And after that, I also want to mention with every topic, I also mention where you can use it and how it can be asked in the prelims or the mains examination. And today, the first editorial is about the analyzing the gender budget. As the government budgeting As the government budgeting is in your syllabus in the GS3, it means that's why the gender budgeting can be asked. And in fact, in the past previous year questions GS3, it has already asked about the gender budgeting. We will see what is the basically current scenario in India with regard to the gender budgeting, and we will also analyze some of the problems there and what can be done later. And the next topic is lateral entry controversy. Although we have already discussed this topic, but we will revise those points and we will also discuss some more points, and there is two editorials on the lateral entry controversy. We will also discuss the Pakistan case study with regard to it, and we will discuss about the merit versus spoil system under this topic. And you can relate this topic with the GS2, and the civil services reforms is specifically mentioned in the GS2. I hope you are able to relate with the GS2 and civil services reforms. This is related with the GS3. Thereafter, there is a news that says box portal launched for the women. This is for the grievance redressal for the women, as we have seen the many cases recently with regard to the sexual assault against the women. That is why it has been set up, and you can use this for the gender budgeting, government budgeting topic also, and you can use this example for the women empowerment, and you can relate it with the GS1 society topic. After that, Pakistan invites the Modi ji to attend the SCO meeting, that is the basically cooperation organization meet in the Islamabad. So recently it is now being chaired by the Pakistan. So SCO can be asked as such in the GS2 IR topic, and it can also be asked in the prelims. You should be aware about the members in the HCO, and when the Pakistan and India joined the SCO in 2017 as a full-time member, and thereafter we will also discuss what is the basically objectives of the SCO and how it can help India to build the relationships with the Pakistan. I hope the topics are clear to you. Now, first editorial talks about the analyzing the gender budget of the 2024-2025. This editorial also shows the one diagram that shows the expenditure made by the government on the gender budget. And you can use this basically diagram for the exam in GS3. And also, if you want to show, as the government is focusing more on women, and women expenditure has been increased by the basically government in the budget. In the particular diagram, you can see the share of part A in the total gender budget. That is basically part A. Although we will discuss about what is gender budget statement, there are part A, part B, C. We will discuss after this. This is in the next slide. But before that, you need to know that part A includes the basically 100% allocation goes to the women schemes, and this number has increased to basically around 40%. So if we see the total share of the part A Part A includes those kind of schemes that basically allocates 100% for the woman, and its share in the total gender budget is around 40%. And if you can see the basically allocation, you can see in the numbers as well, and this way you can make a diagram to show that there has been an increase in the expenditure on the woman. And after this, the gender budget statement, actually it was introduced in the 2004-5. Firstly, the origin should be clear to you, so that in the exam, if any question comes directly on the gender budgeting, you should be able to introduce your topic with the gender budgeting statement was introduced in 2004-5, and you need to remember these parts. First part, part A, talks about the 100% basically allocation is for the women specific schemes. And in the part B, it basically includes the at least 30% will be spent for the women. Only those schemes will be mentioned in the part B where at least 30% will be spent for the women. After that, now the recently part C has been introduced by the basically government, in which even if the expenditure on the woman is less than 30%, it will come in the part C. I hope it is clear to you. If 100%, then part A. In the part B, more than 30%, and if less than 30%, it will come in the part C. I hope the gender budget statement is clear to you, and this is the static portion. Now let's talk about the basically editorial that has appeared in the newspaper. It has also talking that our gender budget expenditure has increased to 1% of the GDP. It is a good number. It means we are spending on the gender budget for the 1% of the GDP. Estimates in the basically 2024-25, and this is more than basically 3 lakh crore for the pro-women programs. And basically gender budget statement, although I have already told you it was introduced in 5-6, and the share of allocation to the pro-women scheme stands at around 6.8% of the total budget expenditure. You need not to remember these many facts. Try to fetch only few of the points so that you will be able to recall in the exam hall. For example, from the today's basically slides, you can remember like around part A schemes share in the total gender budget is around 40%, and we are spending around 1% of the GDP on the gender budget. After this, now we have to discuss why there is an increase in expenditure for the women. If the data is showing that, what is the basically basis of this increase? First thing is basically there has been introduced a part C. Earlier we were just showing the part A and part B. It means the expenditure made for the women, which is basically less than 30%, it was not shown in the gender budget statement, but now it will be shown as the new part C has been introduced. Second point is there is an increment in the part A as well, and this editorial talks about like earlier the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana was not shown in the basically part A, but now it will be shown under this. That is why their increase has happened. And the third reason would be part B of the gender budget statement reports programs of 30 to 99%, and earlier the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana was reported, only a part of it was reported here. But now I have already told you it has been basically reported fully in the part A instead of part B, and we have already included the part C. That is why the increase has happened. It means government is spending more, but the basically calculation or the expenditure calculation has been increased due to these of the factors. And it is also showing that although we are spending more, but we are underreporting the expenditure. And why there is underreporting? For example, MG Narega. Although MG Narega is being reported in the part B, but if we see the total expenditure or the total jobs गिरेगा is around 59%. It means it has to be reported in the basically maybe part B, but the basically expenditure is being made more, and the more holistic or the proper calculation needs to be made. After this, there is a National Rural Livelihood Mission that reflected in the part A of the gender budget statement, indicating 100% of its outlay. So first time basically National Rural Livelihood Mission has been reported here, and I hope you are able to understand. There is still the issues of the underreporting or the over-reporting in the gender budget statement, and we need to basically rectify this. We need to make the proper calculation to show the actual expenditure made. So the way forward could be, we can bring the explanations for the entries made in the gender-based budget statement. It means if any particular scheme has been shown in the particular part A or the part B or the part C, proper explanation entries should be shown there so that there should be no underreporting and over-reporting. After that, it will also help in the accounting accuracy and the gender audits. So it can basically make this kind of act more effective. After this, the need for including the rationale is also to maintain that detailed reporting is not a mere exercise. There is a need of well planned and designed to include the women needs. So proper planning needs to be done so that we can align our policy or the budget statement more aligned with the women needs. I hope the changes that needs to be introduced are clear to you. So the crux is you need to basically remember the part A, part B, C as a gender budget statement, because the question specifically can come on the gender budgeting. Now obviously you must be knowing what is the gender budgeting. Budget is what that is showing about the revenue, that is receipts and expenditure. That is why the government prepares the from where the money is coming, that is receipts, and the where the money is going, that is expenditure. So these both things are shown in the budget, and gender budget basically belongs to the expenditure made for the woman and expenditure made for the woman, and the receipts basically received in that part. And in this we are having the three parts, part A, part B and C. I hope you are able to basically classify them, because if the question comes on it, you have to mention that. After that, you can mention about that there is an increase, government is basically bringing more and more schemes for the women, for their welfare, so that women empowerment can happen. You can also mention about the issues. Still basically there is a gender gap. You can mention about the global gender gap report, basically the difference between the men and women. After that, you can mention about the recent incidents, so the more needs to be done. So there is a need of bringing more and more reforms in it. I hope it is clear to you that we need to bring the incorporating the entries, explanation entries in the gender budget statement that could help more. And after that, we need to bring more planning so that we can align our policy to the woman needs. I hope you are able to understand how it can be used in the basically GS3 gender budgeting. And apart from this, you can also use this if any question comes on the women empowerment. For example, if you have to write about the what are the steps should be taken by the government, in that you can mention about the gender budgeting statement. After this, next editorial talks about the literal entry controversy, and the today's article and the editorial has shown some of the case studies and shown the basically view of the different people, and we will try to compile them all so that we will be able to write comprehensive answer. And in GS2 civil services reforms, you can relate this topic with this civil services reforms. GS2, and as the literal entry controversy is there, so specific question could come under this, or maybe if the question is on the civil services reforms, there you can talk about the basically there is a need of the introduction of the literal entry to bring more efficiency in the civil services. Now, firstly, what is literal entry? Why we are discussing about it? Before that, we need to know what is literal entry. It is basically if in the management of the government or the governance system, we are bringing some basically people instead of those hired by the UPSC or any examination, we are taking the people from the private sector or the public sector undertakings or the academia that are to be appointed to the senior or the middle management positions in the government. It is a lateral entry. So if we are bringing the basically senior position manager from the outside, that is a lateral entry. And in this also it has been discussed that we have already some instances of literal entrants earlier also. For example, there were technocrats that were basically appointed at the secretary level post since independence. Notable examples include our former Pradhan Mantri Manmohan Singh ji, economist Montek Singh Ahluwalia, and agriculture scientist, that is MS Swaminathan. So they were earlier introduced as a literal entrance, and you obviously know the change and the reforms brought by these people. It means literal entrants sometimes can bring the major reforms and the historical reforms, that the notable reforms could be basically brought by them, that could basically bring the efficiency in the particular sector. As we know, the basically MS Swaminathan as a father of Indian agriculture or the Green Revolution. And after this, although we have understood what is basically literal entry, but the next topic is what is basically difference between the merit system and the spoil system. As in GS2, the topic is constitutional comparison between India and US. There also it can be mentioned as in US it is being said there is some kind of spoil system, but in India we have a merit system. Why merit system? Because UPSC conducts some examination to fill up the post relating to the DAM, and after that these people only promote to the higher levels. This is a merit system. So merit system entails appointment to the government post after the rigorous selection process by a independent authority. And this is basically focusing on the building career bureaucrats. They have that are having a long career because they are not selected for any like 2 to 3 years. That is the case in the lateral entry, who are expected to function without any political leanings. We believe that, we assume that they should not be having any kind of nepotism as such, and there should not be any alignment with the political parties, and these two they should give independent advice to the people. And in the GS4 you will read about the civil services qualities, and there also you will read about it. But the spoil system, under this basically government appoints basically persons to the some kind of post as it is seen in the US. So basically incumbent political executive appoints the supporters to various posts, and largely replaced by the merit system. And in the US also we have seen as the president appoints around 4,000 persons to the particular post, but although this kind of scenario has also been changed in the US. So obviously you are able to understand, if the political executive is going to appoint, there could be chances of any conflict of interest or the nepotism, or there could be a opaqueness in the appointment, as who is being appointed, maybe that person is not appointed for the efficiency, but there could be some kind of nexus involved in that. So it means it could be called as a spoil system. So So in India we have a merit system, but in US there is a spoil system. I hope the difference between the merit system and spoil system is clear to you, because maybe these are the terms will appear later also in the newspaper, and in the exam also these kind of words can be used. And after that, if the question comes on the what is the difference between the constitution of the US and India, there also you can mention about the merit and spoil system. Now let's discuss about the benefits of the lateral entry. As the second ARC and the Niti Aayog in 2017 has recommended that we need to bring the lateral entrants, because these can provide the specialized knowledge and skills. As we know, basically there is a merging governance. We have to govern the basically new topics like the blockchain technology. For example, we have recently brought the CBDC, Central Bank Digital Currency, that is based on the blockchain technology, and we are seeing the emerging technologies like semiconductors, climate change issues, digital economy. All such requires a specialization knowledge, and in the civil services we have journalists, so that we need some kind of specialization. But the argument given by the basically persons that is being given in the editorial, it says although we need a specialist or special skills, but the posts that are filled by the lateral entry, on that post we need not have to have this kind of specialization. Whether they should have an idea of the policy making, they should have an idea of how the government works, and they can basically take the advice of the specialist to form the policy. So the person who is making the policy should be the expert of the policy making, and while making the policy he can take the advice of these kind of specialists from outside rather than giving them such posts. And after that, it is also saying with what will be the other benefit of the lateral entry is it can infuse the fresh ideas. So it can basically renovate our civil services or the reinvigorate our civil services, and that can bring the fresh ideas. It has also potential of making career bureaucrats more responsive, as the lateral entry can bring the more efficiency in the competition, and this can bring the more accountability or the responsiveness on the career bureaucrats as well. After that, there are limitations also in the lateral entry, and obviously the context in the lateral entry controversy was as the UPSC has recently brought the notification of filling 45 posts, but thereafter government has to basically withdraw this notification, and that is why there is a controversy on the lateral entry has come up. And the limitation would be as it is highlighting that domain expertise in the basically field experience, as those career bureaucrats have been working since 20 to 25 years in the same governance system. They have more field experience, and that cannot be matched by the lateral entrant. And coordination issues could be there with the career bureaucrats, as there could be some kind of conflicts could be between the separate positions, and that could bring the major coordination issues. After that, this could also bring the opaqueness and the conflict of interest, as I have already told you. In the spoil system, we know how the basically appointments are being done, and there might be the chances that person is not being hired for the efficiency, rather he could be hired for nepotism. So there could be some conflict of interest. And we also have seen already the case of the SEBI book case after the Hindenburg report. You can mention these kind of examples. Maybe nothing has happened, but there was a conflict of interest, and the appointment of the SEBI chairman is being made by the basically government only. And after the Hindenburg case, already the appointments by the government is already in question. And after that, could be chance that it can hamper our reservation policy, as the lateral entry will not be filled up with the reservation, but we need to have some reservation at the secretariat level also. And one of the Pakistan case study is also mentioned in the editorial, which is highlighting that we should not move towards the spoil system, rather it could basically make a mess like a Pakistan. For example, it is saying it is not true that the policy making is separate from the implementation. It means the policy making cannot be separate from the implementation. It means the person who is making the policy should have the experience of the implementation as well. Only the basically specialization in the particular field cannot make him expert in the policy making. It means the bureaucrats who have a long experience of implementing various schemes, they cannot basically these field experience cannot be matched by the lateral entrants. And it is also highlighted that what happened in the Pakistan. For example, in 1972, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto has set up an administrative reforms where it was said that civil services is full of journalists. We need to bring some kind of specialization. So Bhutto said little entry is necessary. He started appointing the basically party people, party loyalists in the posts from the deputy secretary to the secretary level. After he fell from the power, then comes the General Zia Haq. What he did, he appointed the people from the military, and now we can see the basically problem how the basically military power has overpowered the civilian rule due to the spoil system only. It means the person who is appointing the basically positions that requires some kind of independence also, but the political parties could be appointing their only party members, and it could result in the back entry as well. It means it could bring the spoil system in India. And there is another book mentioned is the tyranny of the merit. It is highlighted that we cannot put more and more focus on the merit, ignoring the equity. We have to focus on the equity as well with the merit. It means the technical competence, although we basically should be kept in the mind, but we also consider the reservation and the social justice. It reminds me the articles of our own constitution. For example, technical competence or the efficiency in the administration can be related with the 335. 335 article of the constitution says there should not be a hamper in the efficiency in the administration. So it should be the criteria while appointing. But reservation and the social justice are being focused in the article 15, 16 and 14 article. So it means you can mention about the 335, 14, 15, 16 as well for the writing against the lateral entry. So it could be basically if you're writing against the lateral entry, you can mention about the article 14, 15, 16. And if you're writing in the favor of the basically lateral entry, then you can use the article 335. After that, while there can be a genuine grievances, although like red tapeism, there is an inefficiency and corruption, but we should understand one thing: civil servants actually are facing many challenges in their basically career, and in that they are using the public funds. That is why they are bound by plethora of rules. So the red tapeism there is actually favoring the rules because they are using public funds. So it means there should be some regulation on them. That is why the inefficiency of the red tapeism is there. Now, autonomy of the career bureaucrats. Autonomy of the career bureaucrats is essential for the effective functioning. This includes reasonable independence with respect to postings, tenures and transfers. But we need to understand one thing: for the postings, tenures and transfers, if we want to basically improve the situation by ignoring or removing the problem of the political parties' interference, we can bring a civil services board. And this can be this was recommended by the TSR Subramaniam case, which has recommended we need to bring a civil services board so that we can remove the problems in the postings, tenures and the transfers, and this is way we can also remove the conflict of interest problem in the civil services. I hope you are clear with the reforms needed in the civil services. Although there is a debate of the specialization versus journalist, but we can resolve this problem maybe by the lateral entry or by bringing the experts as basically advisors to the those positions. And the career bureaucrats are needed and essential for the democracy to function, because they are experienced in the field and they could make the policy better, because the policy making cannot be separated from the implementation. But in the exam, obviously, after if the question is on the lateral entry, you have to write both ways. You should be prepared for the benefits, limitations, and you need to write about the way forward as well. After this, there is another news that says, as the India has been invited to the SCO meeting that is going to be held in the Pakistan. Firstly, you need to understand the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. In this, which of the members are there? Try to see the members on the map itself, and if we start remembering it from the basically, it includes China, Russia. It means it is having two P5 members, that is a permanent 5 members of the UN, China and Russia. Along with that, there are Central Asian countries, but except Turkmenistan, it means the other 4 countries of the Central Asia are included in it. Which are these? These were Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan. It means these are the Central Asian countries are added there. Earlier, there were basically 5 members, and Uzbekistan was added later, and it becomes, the total becomes the 6. 4 Central Asian countries, China and Russia. But in 2017, India and Pakistan was also added. Recently, the Iran was added to the SCO, and you need to remember now the chairmanship of the SCO is with the Pakistan. That is why India will visit that, and SCO is also focusing on the basically peace and security and stability of the nations. And in under this, there is one RATS that is focusing on anti-terrorist activities. It means as the India and Pakistan are the part of it, this is the organization can help us to counter terrorism, and it can also help us to bring reforms in the UN, as we are having 2 P5 member nations. And there is a debate also as the basically international organizations which is having more than 190 countries. The cooperation with these kind of organization is becoming difficult. To bring the consensus between these number of countries is very difficult, but the regional organizations like these which are having less than 10 members, their cooperation could be more possible. So the significance of the SU is clear to you, and the number of members are there, it is clear to you, and you have to remember about the RATs as well. And after the meeting, whatever will happen and what the new changes has been made, we will discuss whenever it will come again in the newspaper. Till now, you should know the members of the SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and you need to remember of the basically the RATs under it, and you should have some kind of idea of the objectives as well. As in 2021, the question was already asked on it. So maybe they could ask basically what are the objectives of the SEO and how it can be a significant for the India in the current global situation. After this, the editorial article talks about She-Box portal launched for the women. So basically, I have already told you She-Box has been built up so for the grievance redressal of the woman, as there could be a sexual assault against her, and we have seen the recent cases of the Maharashtra and Kolkata, and more cases are also there, and that is why it has been built. And you can mention in as an example under the women empowerment topic. It could be essay or the GS1. Now the last article, it is about the Muslim marriage registration is compulsory. So basically in the sum, the Muslim marriage registration has been made compulsory. That is why, because the problem of the teenage pregnancy and the child marriage has been increasing in the Assam. That is why this reform has been brought. It means with this, the marriageable age could be implemented. The problem of the child marriage can be basically solved. So it means if in the exam, the question is on the tackling population growth, if the question is on child marriage, if the question is on women empowerment, then you can use such kind of basically example like Assam has brought this kind of registration bill. Of course, this has also a secularism angle, as under this Muslim marriage has to be registered. It means it may be hindering the rights of the Muslims under their personal laws, as in India there is no uniform civil code. Every religion is governed by their own rules and laws, and maybe the question could come on the uniform civil code, under which all religions will be basically regulated by the uniform law. And the recent past, we have seen the debate has been raised already, as the government is talking about bringing secular code. It means basically you can mention these kind of steps. For example, if the question is on the UCC, Uniform Civil Code, is to be brought or not, although we will discuss it later, like what are the advantages or the negatives of it. Although we know the advantages would be, one of the advantage would be the women empowerment. There you can mention that we in India, we have basically state-sponsored reforms to bring the equality, social justice and the women empowerment. And maybe in the way forward you can mention, instead of bringing the UCC, Uniform Civil Code, now as the Law Commission has said, it is not the right time to bring it, and that is why we can bring some kind of reforms first. Thereafter we can have a discussion on the UCC. Like recently we have brought the Triple Talaq Bill. So Triple Talaq Bill has also brought the reforms in the Muslim religion, and this is also a step in that direction. I hope you are clear, like in what way it can be asked and how it can be used in the different kinds of questions as an example. So we are ending the discussion. We will meet at the same time for the DNA tomorrow also. Thank you.